Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the Managing Director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing ambiguity associated with taxation and the treaties associated therewith here in the Kingdom of Thailand. I thought of making this video after reading a recent article from the Pattaya Mail, that's pattayamail.com. Article is titled, Foreigners and Their Overseas Income, What Next? Quoting directly, there is also ambiguity about the precise status double taxation. I think they meant the precise status of double taxation treaties. A retiree, for example, might argue and indeed prove he or she has paid taxes on pensions in the home country. But the revenue, I think they mean the revenue department. I don't know why they keep calling it the revenue, but okay. But the revenue could argue that the retiree could use those payments as a tax credit in Thailand rather than conceding a total immunity. You're getting into high weeds with this legal theory, and quite honestly, folks that I see the point they're trying to make in here, and it is something of a salient point, but it's kind of it's kind of an exercise in wheel spinning, if you will. And also, you know, I don't want to be too difficult on this, but there is an element of this of, you know, it may not be a terrible idea to stay in one's own lane insofar as, look, I make these videos, again, I'm a tax attorney in the United States. I deal with Thai tax lawyers here in our office, as well as accountants. You know, I see the ramifications. I talk to folks. I look at it from a comparative law standpoint. But if you notice, I don't go around making these conclusions, and I don't try to concoct what we used to call them gunners in law school. They were always asking questions, and they would throw out these really complex fact patterns to, I don't know why they would do it. Were they trying to look smart in front of the professor? Were they trying to confound the professor? Whatever. You know, I remember one law school professor finally just broke down on one of them and said, well, how many angels can dance on the head of a pin? You know, and again, point I'm trying to make here, I'm not trying to be disparaging, because I get that people are worked up about this, they're worried about it, and it needs to be analyzed. But getting into concessions regarding immunity from taxation or foreign tax credits, things of this nature, that is some deeply complex stuff. I mean, you're really sorting out, you know, black pepper from fly poop at the end of the day when you get really down to it, because it's complex, and really that almost would be a question I wouldn't even want to get into trying to figure out the analysis on, because I'm not really qualified to do it. I'd have to defer to one of the Thai folks here in our office to be able to provide insight onto that. But that said, bringing this stuff up in kind of a willy-nilly manner is not the best idea in my opinion. Quoting further, everyone agrees that the revised rules about foreign income are designed to catch Thais and foreigners making profits from untaxed overseas businesses and foreign exchange and cryptocurrency trading. Well, I don't necessarily agree that that's entirely what's going on here. Actually, I think a lot of this has to do with foreign corporations, specifically branch offices. But that being said, I also don't agree with the notion that we have to go after untaxed businesses, etc. You know, this whole notion of harmonization and the OECD, I think this is all just nonsense. And really, I'm starting to get to the point where I'm believing stuff that I'm reading online about a concerted effort in the international upper echelons of power, if you will, that they're just trying to tax everybody and squeeze every dime out of all of us plebs that they possibly can. Which, if that is the case, I'm not at all interested in that. Quoting further, the big problem, needless to say, could be small fish being caught in the net alongside big ones. Yes, sure. That's always the case when you see new legislation passed in any context. Now, that being said, again, as I've said in many other videos, 80% of folks I doubt will ever have any kind of, this will have any kind of impact on them at all. I've said in other videos as well, we may come to a point where perhaps part of immigration processing for visa extensions is presentation of a tax return, which, by the way, business visa holders and those with work permits, they're pretty used to that. We've had to deal with that forever. I've never had a year that went by here in Thailand that I didn't get a visa extension that didn't involve my tax return. That said, retirees have always been something of a different breed, and I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that we would see tax returns, Thai tax returns specifically, associated with foreign retirees here in Thailand, but I'm also not ruling it out. So the thing to take away from this video is, yes, there remains some ambiguity because we're only in the first year of this new regime, and we don't deal with filings on something like that until you get into the next calendar year. So we won't actually see how the rubber hits the road on this thing really until 2025.